Good evening, everybody. So, welcome to day one of what I think is a 50-day challenge that I'm throwing at you. A good while ago, I said to the adults, I want to see if you can do 150 Psalms in 150 days. And I want to say now to you, to the younger people, could you join me for 50 days? Sounds like a lot, probably is a lot, but could you give it a go? And every evening, before you go to bed, before you go to sleep, whatever time you go to bed, could you give me like 5 or 6 minutes? That's it. I've even got a timer to make sure. Could you give me 5 or 6 minutes of your time to read a chapter of this book and to spend a bit of time chatting with God? Why would you do this? It's going to sound proper weird, but my best friend in the world is Jesus. And so the most important thing that I do is learn about him, but even more important than that, talk to him. And so at the end of the day, I spend a few minutes just chatting with him and kind of just unraveling the day with him. And I want to see if this could be a way in which you and I could do this together. Does that sound okay? Now, rather than me explain everything we're going to do, I'm going to do day one. And you may go, 150 days of this is going to be long. Give it a go. Give it a go. And you may find that after 50 days, this has helped you be more awake to Jesus. How does that sound? Let's give it a go. So day one, and what this book does, by the way, is kind of give you interesting facts about science, and it gives you a Bible verse to think about. Sometimes it'll be like, doesn't make any sense to me, and that's why you got your parents or your carers with you to help you explain it. Sometimes you'll be like, I want to think some more about that. Sometimes the information you'll be like, that's a bit lame. If you think that, go and find out more, okay? Let's give it a go. So this is day one, and this is called a blank page. And the Bible verse is Genesis 1, verses 1 to 3. If you've got a Bible, you might want to look at it. If not, don't worry, let me just read it to you. Genesis 1, verses 1 to 3 says this: In the beginning, God created the sky and the earth. The earth was empty and had no form. Then God said, let there be light. In the beginning, God created the sky and the earth. The earth was empty and had no form. Then God said, let there be light. Every picture and story starts with a blank page. Nothing is on it. And it's yours to do anything with it. And that's exactly what happened when God sat down, if you like, to create the earth, the universe, and everything in it. He started with a blank page. But actually, there wasn't even a page, just darkness and nothing. And God too, of course. Then he started to create, and it was exactly what he wanted. Planets spun into space, stars stretched across the heavens, and galaxy upon galaxy swirled into the universe. All throughout the universe, and here on earth, God shows his creativity to be indescribably and incredibly amazing. Who else could think up some of these random animals, just for what it's worth? What's your favourite random animal? There are long-necked spotted giraffes. There is the roar in the lion's mouth, the purr in the cat's stomach. There are sticky bugs, sloths, leafy sea dragons, platypuses, or colourful mantis shrimps. God is infinitely creative. That means his creativity has no end. And God shows his creativity in you. You began as a blank page in his book, and he began writing your story before you were even born. It's going to be a great story. Don't believe it? Just check out some of the amazing stories he's already written for ordinary people like you and me. David, Daniel, Esther, to name 3. God's got an amazing story in the works for you. Just wait and see. What they do at the end of each chapter, they have these kind of be amazed boxes which has some random facts. So here's the random fact for you at the end of today's story. Sloths are so slow they move only about 6.5 feet per minute. Even their stomachs are slow, taking an average of 16 days to digest what they eat. Excuse me. And they eat twigs, fruits, leaves, bugs, lizards, and birds. They spend almost their entire lives hanging upside down in the trees, and they only come down once a week or so. And the reason they come down is to do a number. You know what I mean. Catch my drift. Right. I'm going to set the timer, and this is what I want us to do. We're going to spend a bit of time praying, thinking about what this Bible passage was about, and chatting with God. Let's go. I want you to be really quiet and really still for a minute. I'm sat by a road, so it's not that quiet. I want you to be really still. And I want you to think of your favourite thing about today, and then I want you to say out loud if you can, and you may want to press stop on the video if you want to spend long on this, but I want you to say out loud if you can, Father, thank you for this. Just one thing you want to say thank you for. Now I'm assuming you've done that. Now I want you to now think, and I don't want you to do this out loud, I want you to do something inside. I want you to think about one moment that was just a rubbish moment of the day when you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. And I want you to say, Father, I'm sorry about that. And then I want you to think about one person who you're worried about, who maybe you hear is not very well, or they're feeling lonely, or maybe someone in your family who's feeling really sad. And I want you to say, Father, would you please look after this person? And maybe you've got some worries about yourself. You've got some things that you're worried about. Well, here are my worry stones. And what I do is I think about the thing that I'm worried about, and I kind of put it next to my bed, and I say, God, Father, please look after this. Father, I'm really worried about that. I'm really worried about that. And I'm really worried about that. Now, you may want to have some things by your bed that you do this with, or just for a moment. What are the things you're worried about? Just hand them to God and leave them with Him for tonight. Next, what I want you to do is I want you to be really quiet for about 15 seconds and listen. Is there something about the Bible passage that reminds you? Is there something that you feel God might be even whispering to you? It's like part of praying is learning to hear Him. But let's just be still. Take a deep breath and relax and listen. Then the last thing I want you to do is this. I want you to ask your Father in heaven to give you a really good night's rest. So there we go. Day one gone. I do hope you have a really good night's rest, and join me for day 2 tomorrow. God bless.